In Kentucky, we don't just take chances, we bet big. This month, I'm sitting down with 4 Kentuckians who made 4 bold moves and asking one question: what was the biggest bet that you ever took on yourself? This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Town & Country Ford. No matter where life's adventures lead you, Town & Country Ford is along for the ride. What a world you wandered into. Can I call you the accidental distiller?
People are like, did you want to do this? I was like, no. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I still don't. But, we're just figuring it out as we go along.
I don't think people fully realize the job of a master distiller. I think they think you just sit around and drink bourbon all day.
When there's scrutiny out there, when whiskey makes it out, when people are reviewing it, they're tasting it, it's my name that's on that bottle.
My next guest holds the keys to one of the most iconic places in bourbon lore, Woodford Reserve. My guest is Elizabeth McCall. She is the Master Distiller at Woodford Reserve. She actually started out with a master's degree in psychology, which I cannot wait to ask her about, how all these twists and turns and literally learning her way up at Woodford Reserve landed her into one of the most iconic places, the major league, if you will, of bourbon. So Elizabeth, welcome to the Best Bet podcast.
Claudia, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
What a world you wandered into. Can I call you the accidental distiller?
Yeah.
The accidental master distiller.
Yeah. That's a perfect description of me, because people are like, did you want to do this? I was like, no. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. I still don't. But, we're just figuring it out as we go along.
So you have a master's degree, is it right, in counseling psychology?
That's correct.
You thought you were going to be a therapist.
I did.
But you took an entry-level job at Brown-Forman, washing dishes and setting up panels in the sensory lab.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought I would have an office similar to this with a couch and get to do therapy with people. And then when I started looking at that as a career, it was seemed a little daunting, a little bit like, oh, this is not really what I thought. And fate collided with, there was a gentleman there at a graduation party for my little brother, and he was like, well, we have an opening in the sensory lab at Brown-Forman, and we hire people with psychology backgrounds. Send me your resume. And I was like, yes, I will. I've heard I didn't even know much about Brown-Forman. I was like, I've heard great things, so I guess I'll send in my resume. I was like, he's been successful. Let's do this. So I did that night, went and got my resume together, and I sent it to him the next day.
And so starting that job with Brown-Forman and stepping into that iconic building,
Mm-hmm.
It's just something I think that most people, when they think of bourbon and they hear that name, they know it.
Mm-hmm.
They know it. They know Brown-Forman makes some of the best bourbons in the entire world.
Yeah.
But to walk into that and to start this job, did you ever think, just kind of working your way up, that would lead to, one of the biggest catches in bourbon land?
No. I got hired and I was like, oh, I'm making I think it was $40,000 or $45,000. I was like, I am so rich. Because you're a struggling student in college and never had that kind of money. I was still living at home, so then that made it even more nice. And it was just I was just so excited to have this job that had great benefits, and I landed somewhere, to live my life. I rode horses, and that's really my main focus at that time in my life. Was I was a single horse mom. I had to take care of my horse.
Got to feed the horses. So at what point did the science of scent and taste start to click instantly for you?
It was starting doing the tasting panels and doing markers and getting into doing the tasting and understanding that there was a whole science behind tasting, because I didn't know that. Going into it, it was basically about, okay, psychology gives you the background needed to get into a field that's using a human being as your instrument, which is sensory. And then you get into, as you start to learn, I was like, okay, I know the methods, but then when you have a defect, or how do you pick that out, and how do you find things that are wrong in whiskey? And that was really something that I just found so fascinating and interesting. And it was 2009, and that's when the industry really started to kind of escalate, the whiskey industry. And so I was a fan and curious, just like everyone else that was getting into it. And so but I was in the most perfect place to learn. And that's what I did. I took every opportunity to learn.
And like you said, at that time, bourbon was really starting to take off.
Mm-hmm.
Did you realize at that time, as you were getting into it, that, oh, wow, I have a sophisticated palate that really this is my tool.
Yeah.
This is an instrument, if you will,
Yeah.
that I didn't realize that I had this kind of palate. Or do you
No,
still think? Do you think you still have that palate?
people
Or did you
always say
ever
that.
think you had that palate?
I never really thought about it. But it's something that now that I have my daughter is extremely sensitive to smells. I mean, you'll walk in her, she's like, oh, it smells like blah blah. I'm like, oh, you're so accurate. And then now I'm like, oh, I guess it is genetic. Like it is a thing. Because in my household growing up, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you don't know that you're unique or different because it's just the way you've always experienced the world. And so I've always been somebody who's like, I never liked cilantro. I've always been a little picky about certain things, or I don't know. And so, but getting into that role, it showed me that I did have a skill set for that there was something special about being able to pick it out. But I was also surrounded by a lot of other individuals who were just as nerdy about picking out flavor attributes. I mean, going to lunch with my sensory team people like that worked in research and
Tell me
development.
about that.
I mean,
Yeah.
we will go to lunch, and I mean, it's been a while, but like we'll go to lunch and we'll get a drink, and everybody's evaluate. We're all evaluating, like, oh, I might have added a little more lemon. I maybe would have turned this up a little bit. Oh, you can really get the lavender in there. I mean, that is a weird environment. Like most people don't do that. So that was the environment that I was in the R&D department. And so it was just this normal, it didn't feel abnormal to be that nitpicky about flavor, I guess.
So, do you think that your background, though, helped in human behavior and emotion? Does it help you evaluate what makes a bourbon truly exceptional?
I think it does. I think that
Because I'm having a hard time. Like, how does human behavior and understanding human behavior lead us to that end?
yeah. Well, and that is really because the methodology. It's like, how does a human being respond to a stimulus? The stimulus that we work with is beverage alcohol. And so how are you able to pick up on different taste notes compared to a reference? You have your reference glass. This is what it should taste like. And then can your sensory, your nose perceive something different? And so that's where the psychology comes into play.
God, this is hard, Elizabeth.
It's
hard.
It is, but you get trained, and then so that's you
I don't
get
think
trained.
people have any idea how hard it is.
Yeah, and I think, and it is. I mean, I just did a training with some of our ambassadors, and we went through it. And you go, I get so quick at it now. You know what it is, but it's familiarity. I always tell people like practice makes perfect. So if you
Yeah.
want to learn how to taste bourbon, you gotta drink it, but also open up your spice cabinet and get familiar with what does cinnamon taste like versus clove versus nutmeg, because everybody's like, oh, it's baking spice. Yeah, but which one? And so it's really, and then what kind of apple? Is it green apple, red apple? There's just such a plethora to play with that the average person doesn't get. But when you're in an environment to train, you can really train yourself really well. But psychology has been such a great, huge tool for me, not only when I'm tasting with whiskey, putting batches together, but the related whiskey's all about bringing people together, right? It's like that social moment. And so I feel like that having that background in psychology, of being able to read people, read a room, that's been something that I've been able to leverage in this role in a very unique way.
And I feel like your role has just picked up at lightning speed over the past couple of years. I mean, you started with that baseline job, assistant master distiller by 2018, master distiller by 2023. Whoa. Whoa. Did you feel like you had some hurdles in proving yourself? Did you feel like you wanted to make sure people knew? And I know I've just been here for a hot minute, but I want everybody to know, like, I'm doing my work, and I'm going to let you know I'm going to be around for a very, very long time.
Yeah. That is something that I think I've always fought with, but the way that comes out in my work is by being maybe overly involved in what I'm doing. So, where, my mentor, Chris Morris, he's our now Master Distiller Emeritus. I mean, he demonstrated how he would go about doing a master's collection. He's like, oh, well, if you want to get barrels for something, just email that person or do whatever. And because by the time he was Master Distiller, he had done a lot of that legwork to know it. And he knew the right people to contact, and you do it. Well, I'm like, okay, I'm going to contact that person, but I'm also going to be an active participant in all of the ins and outs, the shipping, understanding how we're shipping barrels, or understanding how we're getting the grains, and who's the supplier, and what's the quality measures. Like, I make sure I'm in the weeds so I can then hopefully another 10, 15 years from now, I can remove myself and be a little more elevated as he was when he was training me. And but it's just, I feel that's extremely important, being kind of young and fresh, and it's part of proving it. And then you develop all those relationships with your team. And the thing that I always come back to, and my mom and my parents always remind me, like, I have great relationships with the people that I've known all throughout the process. I started as a very, a fresh, not knowing person, and I've packaged my own samples, I've shipped my own stuff, I've washed my own dishes. Like, I know how to do all that. And then so I have a tremendous amount of respect for all the people that do that now. And I'm always willing to help a hand. And then having those relationships is what makes it easier to, when you have to have the hard ask of like, I want to do this project. And I know it's really last minute, but how can we make it happen? That makes it much more feasible than you just being like, we're going to do this, and feel like you're just telling them what to do. It's
You've
like
literally walked in their shoes. And I think that brings in a whole different level of respect and understanding. And I mean, talk about feeling like you're a team, like when knowing that your leader in this group, in this organization, is somebody that's literally been where you are. That has to instill confidence in other people. And it probably makes you feel like, all right, I can lead them in a different way. Like, I can really push them to try very different things, and to keep reaching for what they want to do.
Yeah. And it's a group effort. So and everybody wants to be a part of doing something really cool. And when you bring everybody in, from the operations team all the way through marketing and just different people in that aspect, they all want to see it be successful. And so that's been a really fun thing that I've seen as I've taken over in this role. And I know people are like, you're so humble and you should rise up and be more like established, but that's just who I am as a human being. I've always been a collaborative person, and I've always enjoyed seeing my team, being a part of a team that kind of, we all do it together. And I know that, but I'm driving that direction. And so I'm taking that kind of, I'm going to do something weird. And if it goes
crazy, y'all, here we go.
Well, and it comes back to, and I think
they're probably like, whoa, Elizabeth, what's happening?
I know. Well, and when you're sitting in the room, I mean, at the end of the day, what I have to remind myself of is that when there's scrutiny out there, when the whiskey makes it out, when people are reviewing it, they're tasting it, it's my name that's on that bottle. Nobody else is getting criticized for whether it was a good whiskey or bad whiskey. It's me who's getting that scrutiny. And so I do take that very seriously.
You mentioned Chris Morris, the OG of the bourbon world.
The ultimate
and
OG.
Remains, I think, the OG, and he's very ever present. And I love that he's continuing how he leads throughout this space. Is there a single piece of advice or whiskey wisdom that he gave you as you stepped into this role?
One thing that Chris Morris taught me, and he was like, it's never about you. The reason we get to be in these rooms and be doing these amazing things is because of Woodford Reserve, and never forget that. And so that's why I try to always remember that Woodford Reserve is this beautiful whiskey that people love around the world, is why I get to do all these amazing things I get to do. So, yeah.
That's good advice. It's good advice. Well, that too, it kind of pulls you out of, it's about me, it's about me, it's about me.
It's not about me. I'm stewarding this brand, and it's not about me.
Do you sense that? I always hear people say that it's a different scene when they go to the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, right? Because you have people line up for hours and hours and hours. And I think I had Brent Elliott on, and he said, they're not there to see me. They're not lining up for me. They don't want to hear me lecture about blah, blah. He's like, they're not. And I've heard a couple of them tell me that, is that he said it's always very humbling that it's like, no, you're not the rock star. They want this. They want, they want
what's
this.
in that bottle is the rock star.
And he's like, it's almost a privilege to be able to share. I'm curious about, what are those conversations like with people when you're very, very excited for something that you've worked on, that maybe it's your first time that you're discussing it and introducing it. What are those conversations like with the public when you get to share the notes and the flavors and the work that's gone into it?
I'm an extremely passionate person. And so when I get to sit down and like share a project that I know it's been years in the making, and I finally get to introduce it, I'm like, look what I got. And what do you think? Like, what do you think about this? Like, I love it, but it doesn't, I mean, I know it matters that I love it, obviously, if I'm going to put it in a bottle. But then it's so wonderful to hear people get so excited. I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've seen out there since I've been kind of running the innovation side was the chocolate whisper redo, and how many people like freaking love it. And they're like, when are you doing it again? And I'm like, you don't understand. Like that was it. That was the last of that liquid, and we don't have any more. And maybe if we want more, we got to wait 12 years for it. Because, but I mean, it's so fun to see people like, I just love that. And you're like, I did that. And that was my idea, like solely my idea. And that people get so excited. It's really, it's just a crazy cool experience. And I'm like, I just feel like I found commonality with somebody. I'm like, I'm so glad you like it. It's just a huge compliment.
Just try something different. And Woodford is famous. You mentioned just like having its kind of pillars, if you will, that are followed, and to balance that with innovation. You have 5 sources. I'm not a master distiller, so you correct me, Elizabeth. All right. Grain, water, fermentation, distillation, and maturation. How do you kind of, in the nuances of that, seek out the innovation? Where are the things that you see that this is what we can play with? This is what we can do without, for lack of a better phrase, screwing it up, right? Because I mean, it's Woodford Reserve. You don't want to, that this is the lore of bourbon world. I want to continue to represent this brand well. I want to continue to do things well. But how can we tweak and do different things? I mean, what you just talked about, just with your original innovative idea, that's like one way. But what are some other ways that you're thinking we're not, the world isn't ready for, but we need to start trying this?
Well, so going back to Chris Morris, I feel so lucky to have worked with somebody who has always been thinking outside the box for the bourbon whiskey, American whiskey world since he started working in it. 50 years ago. And the innovation that he kind of always talked about was like, just change one thing and see how impactful that can be. And so that's been a really fun thing. Sometimes I
like change one thing, like a
change
stage
one
in
of the 5
process?
sources. Yeah. So like just change the grain recipe. What's going to happen if we just change the grain recipe, and how impactful it is? So if you look at the core of Woodford Reserve, everything about how we make our bourbon, rye, malt, and wheat is the exact same. The only thing that's different and driving that huge flavor difference is the grain recipe itself. And that's huge. And it's so cool to be like, yeah. And as a sensory person and looking at it in a scientific way, like you want to eliminate all the variables you can, so make it as consistent as possible and change one thing. And so that's sort of, I've leaned on that with innovation, and that's what we've done historically with our Masters collection and distillery series. But there are some areas where we haven't fully explored. Like we've never done anything really looking at yeast, changing the yeast. So I'm going to maybe look into doing that one day, because we've never done that. And then grain recipes, but going with grain recipes that I find interesting. We just released red corn, and that was an agricultural project that we did with a neighboring farmer, Hoppy. And I have a relationship with him, and it's so fun to see that I had this idea. I was like, Hoppy, I want to grow red corn. Will you work with me on this? And he's like, okay, we'll do it. But we can grow yellow corn really well. And I'm like, I know we can, but it's all about learning. And we're going to do red corn. And we learned it grows 8 feet tall, and the stalks are taller because the way that you would have historically harvested it, you had to stand up and harvest the corn. And the flavor presentation was different. It was grown on the same terroir as our distillery. So it was just so many nuanced things that I really enjoyed. When I look at innovation, it's really fun to kind of, how do I put my own take on it, my own lens on that? And I love the agriculture. I love that. I don't think people really realize how whiskey is an agricultural product, and we see it on the shelf, but you don't realize it's rain makes corn and corn makes whiskey. Like that is true. And so the farmers, developing relationships with them. So I've been putting my own spin on it, but I think the thing is if it ain't broke, that's right, don't fix it. Like try to change it. So like I follow his philosophy, and I think he's a brilliant person who's done amazing things in the industry. So I take his lead, and I'm going to put my own Elizabeth spin on it.
Love it. All right. We'll let him have this little break here. We'll let that kind of mature out. Poor Chris is probably like, they're talking about me all through this podcast. He's going to love that. He's going to love it. He is. Taking a short break and coming back with a little bit more from Master Distiller Elizabeth McCall. Stay with us. I grew up in a Ford family. My dad worked at the Louisville Ford assembly plant. And it wasn't just a brand for us, it was a way of life. And that's the thing about Ford, is that they're woven into a part of our culture here in Kentucky and across America. So no matter where life's adventures may take you, Town and Country Ford is along for the ride. Welcome back to the Best Bet podcast. I'm sitting down with Elizabeth McCall, Master Distiller of Woodford Reserve. And yes, we have geeked out on all of formulas and process and corns and grains because I wanted to take time on that, Elizabeth, and kind of Chris's role, because I don't think people fully realize the job of a master distiller. I think they think you just sit around and drink bourbon all day. Honestly, that's it. And they don't understand the skills and the care that goes into it. Was there something with the job that totally surprised you that you're like, whoa, I didn't expect this?
I think,
Or did you just take everything as it came
I
and
kind of
thought?
took everything in stride, but I
Yeah.
think what still amazes me is how much people like love the brand and know me and get excited to me. Like I was doing something in New Jersey not like a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "Oh, this guy like I was walking down the hall, and he's like, oh, I'm so excited to meet you." And I was like, "Who are you talking about?" And he was like, "You, like I follow you on Instagram. You're a Dave Matthews band, and I'm a fan." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And I was like, "Oh, cool." Like it was like
Yeah.
so nice, but I think that's the most shocking thing is like I just wake up every morning and do my job, and people are like, "What's it like?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I think about my children and my dog and my husband and what are we doing that day?" And I go to work, and to realize what you do brings people joy and happiness is like the coolest part.
And they get to meet you at events and
Yeah.
festivals. And
Yeah.
every year, I mean, Woodford Reserve, of course, is the official bourbon of the Kentucky Derby. And to be so closely associated with this iconic thoroughbred industry and for you to be involved with horses, I just think there are so many pinch me moments in your life that really seem like they were meant to be. Talk a little bit about like your love of horses and at what early age did you get involved
Yeah.
in the equine industry?
I was just talking to my mom. We were reminiscing that I was 8 years old in Cincinnati, Ohio, and said to my mom one day, like, I want to ride horses. And she's like, well, we're in Cincinnati. Like, there's no place to go. But luckily, my pediatrician knew a place, and we went. And she thought it would be like a one-time thing. And I'm 41 years old, and it's still my most favorite pastime ever is to be at the barn and just be with horses and get dirty. And so it's just amazing that I get to spend work going to Derby. I'm working. I get to go to Derby, and
Right.
that's a privilege. And people are like, "Oh, are you tired?" I'm like, I love it. I love it.
I know that Derby Week is a tiring, fun-filled week, and you are backside to front side doing so many interviews. How would you even describe the excitement of being on location at Churchill Downs, talking about the Woodford drink, or in that Woodford cup, or the $5,000 or the $10,000 cup? What are those pinch me moments like for you, where your worlds collide, your loves?
My loves. I mean, I started going to the Kentucky Derby when I was in the infield in cutoff shorts and a t-shirt, which I understand that that's not really the attire that people do in the infield anymore. It's been a while, but I always dreamed, I was like, one day I'm going to save up my money and I'm going to get a hat and a nice dress and sit in the fancy seats at Churchill Downs. And I mean, it makes me want to cry, like almost tear up, because it's like, I get to do that every single year. I get to not only get to go to the Derby, but I get to go and be in some of the most fabulous places, talk to amazing people. I get to wear these beautiful dresses and incredible hats, and like I get to do that for work. And it's a pinch me moment every single year. And the moment that I get like over it, then I should quit my job.
Right.
Yeah. Because Woodford Reserve is the Kentucky Derby. Yeah. There is not a better brand to represent that race and that day. I mean, we say it on our toast, it's the best of Kentucky on Kentucky's best day. And I mean, it's our best week. We shine. Louisville, the city shines. People come here. We get to celebrate things that make us wonderful. And I love getting that opportunity.
And you get to do interviews with some of the most amazing people that day, right? I see you from NBC News, from NBC Sports, I saw you doing some global interviews this year. you were on the big orange mic,
Yeah.
doing those interviews. And globally,
Yeah.
right? And I'm thinking globally, they're asking what goes into the mint julep. Tell us about that. Just has to be just a fascinating preparation process for you that week.
It is.
What stresses you out more? Like talking about the bourbon or figuring out what you're going to wear?
Figuring out what I'm going to wear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Getting dressed,
Yeah, it's so
it's
hard.
the worst part of I love getting dressed. I want somebody else to do it for me.
Like,
just
can't
tell
I
me
just
what
show
to
up in
wear.
jeans and a jacket
Yeah.
and step into this slowly talking about everything?
Yeah.
For foodies and travelers that are listening, because we all want to know how to mix the perfect bourbon cocktail, what is your personal favorite food pairing with a classic pour?
So I love girl dinner. Have you heard of
Tell
this
me,
concept?
no, tell me.
Just dips and cheese and
Yes.
crackers. Like I could do that as a meal. And so I love cheese
That
paired
is a
with
meal.
my
I'm like, that's not a meal?
Yeah,
That
no,
is a meal
I
for
call
me.
it, I call it girl dinner.
Girl dinner.
Yeah, and
It's
I
a
love
busy
to
girl
just,
dinner.
It is. It's a busy. Well, it's like Benedictine with some pretzel crackers and
Yes.
a little pour of bourbon is like such a good pairing. I love it. I love an orange slice in my bourbon. It's like an old fashioned, but without the sugar that.
So do you just do, well, can you pick your favorite wood for your
so
favorite
hard.
child or?
I've had it in an evolution, I
Okay.
think. So it's been like, I started out, my first bourbon that I ever drank just on the rocks was Woodford Reserve Double Oaked because I always thought you have to mix it. Like that's what you have to do. And then no, you don't. You can actually appreciate everything in that glass. And there's so much goodness in there. So Double Oaked was the first one that I had on the rocks. And so I've always had a strong affinity for that expression. But then my daily pour is our bourbon, just straight Woodford Reserve bourbon on the rocks. I love it on the rocks with the squeeze. If I'm getting fancy and I have lemons at home, I'll do a squeeze of lemon and it's just refreshing and so good.
And then so you'll do like an orange slice in there.
And an orange slice too.
I love that idea.
Yeah, it's so especially if you express the
How
orange
simple.
oils,
Oh.
it's like having an old fashioned,
Yeah.
but you don't have all the sugar from the simple syrup, and so it's just. And I do that, and I splash of water. Just
And then we're eating Benedictine and some pretzels and some dips and some cheese and we're done.
yeah, it's like the perfect evening.
Easy.
Yeah.
And easy to entertain guests when they come over. Here you go.
Here you go. This
That's
is what you'll
it.
be eating if you ever come to my house. That's what you're having.
So what does your family think about your job? What do your kids think? Let me begin with
My
your
kids don't care other
They
than
don't
Winnie.
care.
So
When's mom coming home?
Yeah, when's mom coming home? Why do people want you to sign their bottles? You know,
Yeah.
where are you going? Why do you
think
want
about that? That's right.
Yeah, and it's
why are you signing bottles? That's
so my daughter, my neighbor brought over the bottle the other day, and I was signing it. And she's like, "Mom, can I go sign bottles?" And I was like, "Well, you can't sign this one because this is for somebody to give to somebody, but you can take my pen and go
how
sign the bottle." So she
cute.
signed all our bottles in our living room, and because we just have a lot out. My son, was looking at my shirt. He's like, "Mom, that your bourbon?" I'm like, "That is my bourbon."
That's your
Like,
bourbon.
so they know that mom is a bourbon person, but they don't have any. They don't
They
care
haven't
about
put it all together yet.
No, and they don't know it's good. I mean, they know they'll see me on TV but they don't really care. And then family wise, I mean, they're all very proud. Like my parents are very proud. My brothers are extremely proud, but they also don't but they don't care.
Yeah.
And so that's the best part is they're just proud, extremely proud of me, but I'm just their sister.
They're like, look like that job worked out just fine.
Yeah.
You were setting up the lab.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you imagine going back to a world of psychology now?
Oh,
Or do you feel like you deploy those skills every day still?
I think I still leverage them. I'm in almost to a fault. I think I read a room too well where you have your talking points and things you need to get across. And I'm like, oh no, I'm talking too much. They're getting bored. I can read their body language. They're getting bored with me. And so I need to, balance it a little better. But I couldn't imagine doing psychology today. I'd be like, I don't know.
Unless you could bring bourbon into there we
Exactly.
go.
Because
Let's
people are
enjoy
like-
this.
They're like, this is a form of therapy. And I'm like, it is, but I usually have a glass in front of me and then we're talking through everything.
Yeah.
So,
Love it.
yeah.
All right. You ready for the rapid fire round?
Yes.
You're like, I don't know what I'm getting into,
I know,
but I
right?
will. All right. Neat, rocks, or an old fashioned?
Rocks.
Your absolute favorite aroma inside a barrel house?
Ooh, that nice toasted oak.
Oh, yeah.
You just can't capture it. So
Unaged spirit or extra age maturation?
I'd say extra age maturation.
Favorite season at the distillery?
I think springtime.
Yeah,
I love springtime.
for sure. If you weren't making bourbon, what would you be doing?
mucking stalls at a barn. Like, just let me be with horses.
The definitive Woodford expression that best reflects your personality.
Ooh, I think that I just a regular bourbon. Like, I'm
What you're having your
balanced and
Benedictine cheese
complex,
with. Yeah.
like I just think I can kind of go with the flow anywhere. I'm a Pisces, so I adapt well, and our bourbon adapts well to anything.
Absolute pleasure. Elizabeth, thank you so much for
Thank you so
stopping by
much.
the
This
podcast.
was really fun.
So fun. All right. So now you have to go follow Elizabeth over on Instagram and do keep up with everything that's happening with Woodford Reserves as far as all their drops. Of course, they'll be at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival coming up this year. So please do this. Please share this podcast. Follow along The Best Bet on Instagram, and wherever you listen, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you soon. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for watching the podcast. No matter where you're watching this right now, please leave a review because that gets the word out about this particular podcast. So until next week, have a good one, everybody. Cheers.